Okay, welcome to another Numa of Now podcast. I think I've got my charge going for at least the time being. We're going to continue to revisit this idea of the charge. I am Richard Blankenship, and I'm trying to charge up my life with energized enthusiasm. I'm starting to take a greater control over my own life's direction. I'm starting to believe in myself more and build confidence and self-worth. I'm doing a lot of homework assignments, study, reading. I'm answering questions. I take notes. I am mind mapping, all these things. So just to get into this particular episode, I guess we'll call it, there's this idea of the ego. Let's try to reframe the idea of ego for just a moment, and I'm going to liken this to kind of the ego has knobs, like an amplifier. We can turn up the volume or we can turn down the volume. We're never going to be able to experience, or maybe rarely experience a complete ego death. But in a lot of regards, it's what we're trying to do here is get outside the fight and flight survival instincts of the ego when it gets inflamed and aggravated, and when we feel like we're in a place where we need to defend ourselves. So the trick here is to really inspect ourselves and understand for ourselves what we will tolerate and what we will no longer tolerate. What do we stand for? Not what do we stand against. Does that make sense? It's just the whole thing about if you add energies to the things you're against, you're just continuing those energies. And the best example off the top is, the war on drugs or the war on terrorism. You're just adding fuel, vapor, if you lend your support to a cause that is against something. So it's really easy to learn how to identify these negative thinking patterns within ourselves. So instead of standing against something, we need to stand for something. Now, it's also necessary to name the enemy, for sure. And so if I'm going to name an enemy right now, it's mediocrity. We can talk about other enemies later, but for the purposes of these early episodes and discussions, I'm going to continue to name the enemy as mediocrity. We're seeking growth. We're trying to expand. And we're doing this together. And each and every one of you are more precious than you can conceive. And perhaps I'm the only voice in your world that will tell you how beautiful you are and how perfect you are, and how, as a collective, we all need to get into this feeling of worth. We need to understand the vastness of this reality. We need to understand the layers of illusion, or at least shine the light on them, point toward them. Another big concept that I'm bringing to the table here, or just reminding everybody of, everything is just a remembrance, okay? So, this notion of being authentic, when you can live up to what you truly believe that you are, knowing who you are, and just to be that person, and to have the freedom to individually express your unique perspectives on the world without fear of judgment or ridicule, moving beyond the cowardice, moving beyond conformity, moving beyond fear. It's either fear or freedom. So we're going to go binary. We're going to really get down to the nitty-gritty of this personal freedom component as well, and charging our bodies and our minds with passions and interests and creative expressions, collaborative expressions, recognizing and recognizing what lights us up and how we can contribute to the greater good, a real and lasting, heart-based, energetic, re-engagement, an energetic re-engagement with our world, with people. Also, because we're, inside of this pandemic and people are wearing masks, we need to start communicating with our eyesight and our eyes. We can tell, perceptive individuals, really can sense into your emotions through the eyes. And now that's all we have to look at. So, everybody's a little bit more vulnerable just because that's all we have to assess somebody's demeanor and emotional character without really speaking to them or knowing them. The whole concept of I can provide you with some keys, but it is you alone who has to turn the key for yourself. The whole horse to water situation. That's just why I encourage people to take notes and to review your notes often. I am never without a pen and paper at hand. I am constantly documenting my thinking and ideas and thoughts and trying to archive that to the best of my abilities. And many of these discussions stem from notes I've taken anywhere from 1998 to today. So there's times where I'll go into the archive just to shine a light on a snapshot of my mind in earlier days. And I think that's a valuable thing for us to review and have on hand. So if you're not journaling, or at least taking a few notes every day about what's going on and how the energies have moved, what has moved you, what has disappointed you, what you can do better, how you can communicate your needs more effectively, and all these things. So I just want everybody to be encouraged that although things look a certain way from the outside, the stimulus that is our diet, it doesn't really look all that great on a lot of levels, but I'm always reminded of, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. We can be ripples in the pond. We can do that differently. We can put our energies into the flow of that stream in new ways that people can feel, that can change lives one at a time. Our personal interactions can be injected with a new vibrancy, hope, trust, acceptance. I always encourage people to check in on their breath. Most people in Western civilizations have a shallow breath, and that is not good. We want to learn to breathe and belly breathe and open up our diaphragm and get nice big inhalations into our lungs. And a lot of anxiety and angst can be dealt with immediately if we check in with the breath. But it's up to you to breathe. So we can talk about that all day long, But what I find is most people think more than they do. And in this particular domain, I strongly encourage and recommend that you do more than you think when it comes to the breath. Alright, we'll go out into the world and be you to full, you know? Give yourself permission to know yourself and to be you today. To find some moments of spontaneity, to seek clarity, to seek sanity, to seek the mental cause behind the lens of your own perceptions, beyond the ego trying to protect itself in self-preservation, or when the ego falls into scarcity mindset, scarcity consciousness, scarcity awareness. Everything's already in perfect balance, or nothing could exist. That balance is harmony, that balance is peace, that balance is life. Everything's in balance. It's already that way. Alright, well, blessings to everybody, and I appreciate every single one of you for checking in and working to lift the spirits of our common man and our fellow man, our common interests. Peace profound in the Pneuma of Now.